Hi, this is Will Butler, and you're listening to 89 FM, the Radio Rock.
Fala galera, beleza? Eu sou o Wendell Correia e acabei de conversar para 89 Rádio Rock com Will Butler, do Arcade Fire, ele que vai lançar em setembro o novo álbum Generations, né? Ele já lançou duas músicas, duas faixas desse trabalho. Surrender foi a primeira e ele lançou recentemente a Close My Eyes. Ele falou bastante desse novo trabalho, Generations, né? Comentou um pouco do detalhe de gravação, como é que funcionou. Ele tá lá na casa dele, eu fiz a entrevista aqui da minha casa mesmo, foi através do Zoom, e ele também falou, aproveitei e perguntei sobre o novo álbum do Arcade Fire, como é que tá, em que pé que tá, né? Eles estão trabalhando nesse novo trabalho. Ele falou um pouquinho também e lembrou das passagens dele aqui no Brasil. Ele veio com o Arcade Fire, tocou aqui com o Arcade Fire 3 vezes pelo Brasil. Então vamos conferir esse bate-papo exclusivo com Will Butler aqui para 89, a Rádio Rock.
Hi Will, how are you, man?
Good, how you doing?
I'm fine. We've met already in Brazil. You won't remember, but we've met in Lollapalooza 2014.
Oh, well. Well, good to see you again.
It was a great interview. You were very kind with us on the radio station. Thank you for that. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So, how have you been passing through the quarantine in this lockdown time?
I mean, mostly hanging out with my kids, for better or worse. I have an 8-year-old and 2.5-year-old twins, so it was chaos. The spring was chaos, and the summer has been more plain. But yeah, a lot of family time.
Yeah, the good thing about the quarantine is spend more time with family, right?
Yeah, it's been good.
Is that where you came the idea for making an album about generation?
Partly. It's partly forward-looking and partly backward-looking. Partly, I mean, I'm in my studio and there's pictures up, but like my mom was a musician and her parents were jazz musicians in the 40s, and my grandma's father was like a pre-vaudeville musician, like born in the 1870s, and just that I'm a musician is no coincidence. Like there's decisions that were made 150 years ago are still very relevant to my life, and you can go back even farther, and there's an element of trying to examine that history and being like, where did we come from? Where are we going?
And your grandfather is one of the pioneers of the electrified guitar, is that right?
Yeah, his name is Alvino Ray, and I think he actually played the first national broadcasts with the electric guitar. One of the first people to popularize it. One of the real pioneers.
And do you tend to keep the music alive on your family, on your sons?
Yeah, I mean, they're already quite musical. We'll see whatever they want to do, but they've got rhythm.
And you are going to release on September a new album. It's a great album. Congratulations for that. And how was the process of writing and recording this album? You write on the quarantine, the whole album?
No, I finished it right before quarantine. I literally finished it March 9th, I think. And on March 15th, New York shut down, which was a relief because then it was just chaos. I was still mixing, so I was still having to listen and send notes, and I couldn't be there in person. But yeah, I mean, I wrote it. The pandemic still feels of a piece with how crazy the last 5 years have been. So it definitely emerges from the Trump election and from everything that's been churning in America and also worldwide the last 4 or 5 years. It very much comes out of that swamp.
And after the album, and some lyrics really get my attention. You're beginning for a great song. And talking out of here, I had enough, I'm getting out of here, had enough of bad news. It's what we've been reading all about. Sometimes I put the cell phone away, I don't want to know it anymore. Is that a feeling? They fight right at the beginning of the album.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to jump in the ocean and swim until I get to a new land.
Yeah, man, it's right. Even if you wrote before the quarantine, it's really great for this moment we are living on Earth, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's the same emotion. It's just more intense now. Like, oh, right. I really want to get out of here.
Yeah, crazy world we're living. And the first single, Surrender, it has beautiful women voices. Who are these women? I wanted to talk to you more about that.
Oh, they're in my band. It's my band. It's my wife Jenny Shore and her sister Julie Shore, who's in my touring band, and their friend Sarah Dobbs, who's also in my touring band, and also Miles Francis, my drummer, is also singing on that. And it's, yeah, all the voices and having men and women is very much a part of the record of like, you know, there's a back and forth, there's a conversation between two different worldviews, and how do you move forward.
And how was being directing your own video?
It was good. It was, I enjoyed it. It's good for the brain and yeah, something of a challenge. Like, how do I, also, it was the first thing I was putting out into the world. So it was like, what do I want to say? How do I say it? What a world we're living in.
And there also the legend on the video that seems like you really came out from your heart what you write on the legend of the video. Is that what you're feeling and you needed to say that to the world?
Yeah, I mean, New York has just been in protests ever since the end of May. And it felt crazy not to talk about it because there's still, you know, like they're doing big bike protests still. And there's like a big massive bike lists with Black Lives Matter placards going, you know, a block from my house still every weekend. And yeah, I feel it feels crazy and terrible. And I still feel hopeful. I don't know. It's not like a choice. It's just like, okay, well, how do we build? Like, what are we going to build? What are we going to do? Like, what do we do? Let's do it.
Yeah, we need to change the world. That's the feeling. And there's also another great song, Close My Eyes. You say, I'm tired of waiting for better days. Nothing's going to change. And what do you mean about this music?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just an emotion that I felt, and I think others have felt, where it's just like so tired and so just not sure what to do, and you don't have any energy to even find out what you can do. And if you just don't think about it, if you just live your life, I think it's almost acceptable. If you just completely turn off, there's times when you can almost be fine. And I mean, there's definitely people for whom that is not true. Like, just shit is not okay at all. But I think there's also a lot of like, if I just get to the next day, it's okay. And sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not true.
Yeah, that's the feeling. And you say about something, Frank Sinatra, you should say the song, Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week, but you say on the song, I don't know what I don't know, terrible Sunday night. And I get the same feeling of you. I think Sunday night is worse than Saturday night. Saturday night is a party night.
Yeah, very much so. And like, it was written before quarantine, but yeah, now it's just like every day is the same. Like, it's like that Morrissey song, Every Day is Sunday. It's like, every day is Sunday. Like, what's going on?
And the final track, the Fine song, you name it as Fine. You talk about your family too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is the way of talking about all the generations of your family.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm very much an inheritor of a tradition. And there's something really beautiful about inheriting music and being musical for all these generations. But I've also inherited money and power. I'm not like the frickin' Rockefellers, but still, you inherit all these things. And it comes from a very beautiful place where it's like trying to make the next generation stronger and better than you had it. But then when you zoom out, you also see how that can be poisonous. How if you're building that based on stealing from someone else, like, are you doing this in a way that makes it so other people can't let their children have what you have? Yeah, it's trying to wrestle with those concepts a little bit.
And how do you think your generation, I believe I'm your generation too, I'm 30, you're 37, right? How do you believe this generation is gonna be the legacy for the world, and what you will want me remember as a person?
Ooh, I feel currently feel pretty good about our generation. I think they're slightly smarter and slightly better at trying to make an equitable world, and like trying to make it so people aren't dying for stupid reasons. People are still dying for so many stupid reasons, but our generation, I think, is thinking about it a little bit better than before. It could all go to hell, and it also will go to hell when we get older and we're more stuck in our ways and we're trying to keep everything for ourselves. Like, partly it's just that we're a little younger and we're not at the hoarding stage of life yet. But yeah, I also think our generation's funny. I think we've got good jokes, which I think helps us move forward. And I don't know, I want to be remembered as a piece of, like, I don't know that I need some individual legacy, but I want, when someone looks back at art or film or music, to be like, oh, and there's Will Butler. There's that character again. He's like part of the web, like part of the fabric that's woven together. I want to be in there. It doesn't need to be like some massive individual legacy, but I want to be a footnote at least.
But you are leaving a great legacy for music, man, for the world. The music always keeping playing. And I want to talk to you about the art cover. It's a fingerprint, right? It's your fingerprint on the cover.
It's I almost did my fingerprint. I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't give my fingerprints to everybody. It's the Daniel Murphy, who does the artwork at Merge. He designed the cover, and it's his thumbprint.
Great idea, man. Sounds really great. And do you intend to tour after the world started going on again with your solo work, with Generations tour?
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I can, whenever it's possible.
And I already, Arcade Fire were also working on new songs. Are you guys working on new songs? Can you tell for the fans about it?
Yeah, I mean, Win and Regine never stop demoing, and they're together. I mean, they're quarantined together, so they're always working, and the rest of us are listening to music and thinking about ideas, but it's hard for us to work all together just because it's not the same on Zoom. But we will get together at some point, and we're not even. It takes us so long to make a record anyway that we're not even behind schedule yet. But yeah, as long as we can get together at some point, it'll be okay. And I think we'll be able to get together, right?
We wish for that. We hope we can do it. And we've been sometimes in Brazil, I believe 3 times in Brazil with Arcade Fire. I was there on Lollapalooza 2014 when we met. It was a great show, a lot of Brazilian music reference. What do you remember from the time you were in Brazil, and what do you most like in Brazilian music? I believe you like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Brazilian music is amazing, and so beautiful. And I mean, just the rhythms, like so many fundamental rhythms that it even made it to America, where you're like, oh, this is like an American rhythm. You're like, oh no, that's because they were listening to 40s Brazilian jazz, and then it became a rock and roll rhythm, and like, what's going on? Yeah, there's something really wonderful about that. And there's a shared culture from Africa that feels very, I mean, it's African, but it feels American, as in North and South American, where it feels like we are 2 continents that are connected a little bit, which is it's nice to feel of a piece with something. And I loved, I mean, I was mostly spent time in Rio and in Sao Paulo, and Rio, less time in the city, more time just on the water. And it's so physically beautiful in Rio. And Sao Paulo, the energy is, once again, it feels American. It feels like there's both great wealth and great poverty, and people trying to make things happen, and beautiful things happening and terrible things happening, and some struggle to make the city be alive. And it feels young. I mean, Sao Paulo is so overwhelming because it's just so big, but it's really, I don't know, I found it very exciting and humbling. You're like, okay, this is a lot to take in. But yeah, I loved I was there maybe 3 or 4 days total. and loved soaking it up.
And last question I want to do for you, it's something I'm curious. When I heard my first hearing of Friday Night, there was, before playing a song, you asked to be booing.
Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you really like it, or just some kind of joke?
It was, so I was on that tour. I was on tour with a comedian named Joe Firestone, and we would take turns introducing each other. So I would introduce her and she would introduce me, and I would introduce her and she would introduce me. And I thought that would happen to be the show we recorded, and she had everyone boo me, which I thought it was a kind of a nice way to start a record.
It was. It was very fun, man. Thanks so much for your time. Wish I could have more time to talk with you, Will. Congratulations for the new album. Really great album, man.
Thanks so much. Nice talking to you. Good to see you again.
Thank you. So hope to see you, Brazil, again.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you. Take care.
89, a Rádio Rock.